Well, good lunchtime-ish time, West Ham fans. Let's predict the starting 11 ahead of the game against Fulham, kicking off in a couple of hours. Yes, everybody, Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. We are playing Fulham. A couple of hours' time. The Premier League is back, baby. And as always, when we're new to the channel, what we tend to do is tend to try and predict the starting 11 before we find out what it really is. And obviously, it's a little bit earlier than now this season. It's an hour and 15 rather than an hour, which point. And so we'll have that information in a little short while. Now, actually, before we start, I just want to just shout out our channel partners. One of them, Alloy Collectors. They've just they've released finally the 1965 metal shirt, which is getting a lot of interest. It would adorn many a man's cave, and there'll be plenty more coming in terms of those retro kits. So there's a link in the video description, and West Ham Network viewers get 15% off at checkout by using WHN 15, and they'll be releasing the current home kit as well, and they'll be doing a lot more of those retro kits. That's what I think they're more interested in, to be honest, for me. Anyway, we're going to try and predict the 11. Now, it's going to be quite interesting in this 11 because we still don't really know. Well, it's twofold. One is there's still a lot of unknowns in terms of the players, and also a couple of injuries, late fitness tests, potentially. And it's clear that we're going to be moving pieces of the puzzle. It's going to be, a core, I reckon 6 or maybe 5 or 6 who know they're starting, maybe even 7 8, to be honest. But it's those 2 or 3 or 4, depends, well, it adds up to 11. But those types of ones which change the way we play and change the way we set up. And I've always found that quite fascinating with football, in that, for example, Man City, Foden doesn't play every game, Grealish doesn't play every game, Haaland doesn't play every game. So we're not that sort of luxury just yet, but who knows? So let's have a go into it. Let's set it all up, shall we? So let's try and that'll do. Yeah, that'll do. That's a bit better. So at the moment, he's looking a bad selection to start off with. What are you doing, Lopetegui? So we'll start off. I mean, it's by all accounts, he's back from his injury. He obviously got injured against Man City just for the international break. Went off at half time, was placed with Fabianski, but we believed that he is back and fit. Obviously, he didn't pull out of the French squad and was on the bench for their Nations League games. We've only got about another month, and then we've got another bloody international break. But Areola's in goal against his former club. Simples, innit? I think it's no surprise that for me that Aaron Wan-Bissaka starts. Now, I want to put something out there about Wan-Bissaka. I think, and I know he's only played a game in a bit, potentially he would be the best right back we've had in the Premier League era. He hasn't got a lot of competition, I'll be honest. But in a Premier League era, I mean, I don't necessarily say, Tim Breaker was sort of early Premier League, but I think, I think Wan-Bissaka could really be it. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from a man who is possibly the best right back West Ham have ever had, having had a conversation with him just for the Man City game. Tonka was waxing lyrically about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And he was saying, yeah, it's a Tim Breaker, He said, but Tim was more, Aaron's a real defender. But we've seen he can play. He can play as well. He's played left back. He's played sort of left midfield. Into that Man City game, it's all being moved around a little bit. But I think potentially he could be one of the best right backs we've ever had at the club. And again, particularly in the modern history, particularly in my history, I go back through some. I mean, Sebastian Schemmel we love, but he was really a one-season wonder, weren't he, Seb, to be honest. Wow, Timmy Breaker, Soufal, Zabaleta. Zabaleta's coming to the end of his career. Soufal, good right back. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka can surpass him. I really think they can. In turn, now, next position. Now, this is where it'll fall down, because anyone who watched any of the international games over the last week or 2 weeks, really, the Greek game, Mavropanos has played brilliantly. He really has played well, and a lot of ball work as well, in terms of a lot of passing, dribbles. I think he completed more dribbles in the 3-0 win against, I can't remember who it was, than anyone else on the side, or one of the only ones to complete. Was that 2 or more? He was a monster. So whether that continues going into the full game, quite possibly, it could be. It wouldn't surprise me if you see in about an hour or a bit's time, you see Mavropanos on the team sheet as a starting centre half. Todibo has been training with the side, obviously in the international break as well. So, whereas Mavropanos has been getting games, time in his reps, in his legs, Todibo definitely has been sat there with Kilman, with Wan-Bissaka, and the left back as well. No doubt they've been working on a lot of stuff together. So it seems, that sort of 2-week period has probably been ideal to get that sort of understanding between himself and Max Kilman. So 25-26, definitely, Kilman, I think, is been the shining light out of all the players that we've signed. In terms of adaptability, they've come straight into the game. Bosch, they've just got on with it. And so has Wan-Bissaka, really, but obviously both being Premier League. And people have criticised, maybe the decisions to bring in people who are Premier League ready. But the reason why they're Premier League ready is they can just start. And Wan-Bissaka, despite the fact he joined 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks after Somerville, for example, has just slotted in like he's been playing for us for years. And Max is as well, and because they're Premier League ready, they're already up to speed. And on the right, Emerson. Unless I'm recording this on Friday, unless Galatasaray come in with a stupid bid and we sell him, which if we do, then maybe it's not going to happen. Don't worry, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. This is already and from afar, and obviously now in the future, it hasn't happened. Anyway, back 4, and I think that is going to be our back 5, our Premier League back 5. Occasionally, you might switch things up. You might bring in Mavropanos and play 3 across the back, potentially. But I think that's pretty much what you're looking for. Midfield. Again, he didn't travel on the international break. He stayed at Rush Green to sort of nurse that injury a little bit, but still been playing, no doubt, been training. Obviously, they had a behind closed door friendly against Dagenham Redbridge during that time as well to sort of, give the likes of John Egan a run out. Well, that didn't work out well because he's signed for Burnley. Or maybe it did work out for well. It depends your perception of John Egan. But Edson Alvarez comes in, I think, no shadow of a doubt. And again, another name who will be on the team sheet. Now, his partner. Now, I'm going to give you who I think, and then I'm going to show you 4 or 5 different other formations in terms of players we can get. I think potentially, and again, he's had a week to play. He's had a week to train. Carlos Soler. Is it time to unleash the Soler? Part of me, and that's what I would love to. I don't think it will. This is a sort of a mixture between what I'd love to happen and what I think will happen. Carlos has been very, very talked up in the press conference, the Lopetegui press conference. He had on, when was it, Thursday lunchtime or something like that. And I think it would be a great opportunity to get him into the squad straight away. Because otherwise, his debut could be the Chelsea game. And it's a bit more about that. Fulham's probably not an easy game, but away from home as well. You can ease yourself into that. So then come the Chelsea game next week. Next week? Yeah, next week. He'll be fully invested. Is Chelsea next week? I'm getting my. I know the kids. I know the kids are playing Chelsea that week. My brain's gone to mush since I've done all this. Since this international break, I'm pretty sure it is. Maybe I should probably check this out before I started. I'm pretty sure it is. It is Chelsea. Yeah, it is Chelsea 12:30 kickoff, and then we play on the Friday. We play on the 21s on the Friday. That's why I got confused. No, we don't. We play on the 21s next week after. Ignore me. Chelsea next week. So that's what I would do. Now, next, obviously, a lot of players have turned up late for international duty, and I think, and this is just me, maybe the king of wishful thinking. Paqueta's had a bit of a torrid time for Brazil. I wouldn't be surprised if Paqueta's put on the bench, and the reason why is Julen is not backwards and coming forwards. He's not one of these managers who doesn't, well, head coaches, sorry, pound for the food banks. One of these head coaches who shies away from making big calls. And I think actually putting Paqueta on the bench, he came back quite late from international duty. Wouldn't be a bad thing. You can bring him on, 60 minutes or whatever. But also gives you an opportunity to play Kudus in his preferred position. And I think that to me is quite exciting. Quite exciting. And then I think Bowen plays on the right. Obviously, England have played the 2 games at home, so hasn't travelled much. So no problem. Captain Bowen slots straight in. The reason why I think I could see that happen is because what we've been hearing coming out of the training sessions, coming out of Rush Green over the last sort of week or so, and that is how much Somerville has been impressive in terms of just his work rate, what he's developing, what he's playing, how his style is progressing, and just the impression he's sort of left on the likes of Julien. Obviously, we signed the player, so he's a player obviously we've been interested in. But I could see that happening this week. And again, I'll go with some more formation ideas because, not formation, but in terms of personnel ideas, because there's lots of ways we can change the squad around, which is exciting. And again, it's something that I think we miss out on is if we can't, as fans who see the side every week, if we can't decide or predict the starting 11, how's Marco Silva going to predict the starting 11? That's the beauty of it, and it's only 2 or 3 players different, and it changes the total concept and the way we play. Now up front, we know that Nicholas Füllkrug is unlikely to start. He could even be on the bench potentially. They're going to assess it. They're assessing it on Friday before making the decision for the Saturday. If that's the case, I don't think he starts because of that exact reason. He's had a knock. The likelihood is people said he's going to likely miss the game and then be back in the squad for Chelsea. I think I won't be surprised to see him on the bench. If it's what we're led to believe, then just a knock. It's something you can easily recover from. And the fact was, even in the press conference, Julian didn't rule it out. And that was him of having returned to West Ham already and being relatively assessed, I'd imagine, at the time. So for me, I think it's Mickey, plays up front. There is the same case to be made. There's the same case we made about Paqueta, coming back late, one of the later people to come back from international break. Could it mean Danny Ings starts? I don't think it does. And the reason why is I think we can put out, I've got 4 different formations, 4 different personnel. The defence is pretty much set in stone. But then even again, I wouldn't be surprised if Mavropanos. I mean, another option is putting Paqueta in at 10. Somerville goes onto the bench. Kudus goes onto the left. You could have Soler in there. You could have Paqueta at 10. You could move things around and even play Bowen up front, for example, and put Soler in at 10 maybe. Rodriguez comes in as that sort of double pivot. Somerville on the right, giving the likes of Antonio and Paqueta leaving them on the bench. We've also haven't spoken at Tommy Soucek. Tommy Soucek could take the Soler role. He had a torrid time against Georgia, had a better time in his second game for Czechia. Who else? I mean, you could again move it around again, and with Bowen up top and Somerville on the right, Kudus on the left. Somerville on the left, Kudus on the right. Paqueta at 10. Rodriguez stays in that CDM role. So I mean, there's and by changing just two of those personnel or three of those personnel around, it changes the total way we play. Bowen up top compared to Antonio up top is totally different. A totally different way you have to play to utilise their strengths. Couldn't play with a false nine. Paqueta's played as a false nine before with us. So again, it's moving the pieces around. Somerville on the left, Kudus on the right. You've got players who are on their favoured feet, favoured sides, more running down the wings. Kudus always cuts in anyway, but Somerville would run down the wings, overlap with Emerson. Bowen would be nipping around, trying to get a goal. Antonio would run the channels. What else we got here? We've got here, instead of Rodriguez, you could put Soler in, and then that's got sort of two ball-playing midfielders. If you count Paqueta as a ball-playing fielder, you might, it's fascinating. I think it's fascinating. And as I said, the back five, including the goalkeeper and the back four, that's, I think, going to be set in stone. We know Bowen's going to play. We know Kudus is going to play. And then the rest, that four, Somerville here, we've got Somerville, Paqueta, Soler, and Alvarez. You could put half a dozen players in those positions. You could put in Rodriguez, you could put in Soucek. You've got Somerville in, Somerville out. You've got Antonio in or out. You've got potentially Fulkrug in or out. So, and then you've still got Luis Guilherme as well as an option off the bench. Exciting times. I think it's exciting times for a Hammer. Very exciting times. And that's it, my friends. Thank you very, very much for your time. We'll be doing the watch along in hour and a bit's time, something like that. Keep an eye on the channel. Make sure you hit the notifications. Don't miss anything, any content we put out post-match as well. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, my friends, and cut when you bloody iron.